I used to think that I just had a bad memory. Little everyday things, I'd forget them almost immediately. How much did I pay for the shirt I bought yesterday? What did I have for breakfast this morning? If someone asked me, I'd have to stop and think. Because it happens so often, I kept telling myself, I guess I just have a terrible memory. That's what I always believed. But then, one day, something happened that completely changed the way I saw it. You know those horrible pictures on cigarette packs? The black lungs, the mouth cancer, all those warning labels. When they first appeared, I hated them. Every time I reached for a cigarette, it felt like the box was judging me, like it was saying, "Go ahead, keep smoking, you'll become me one day." I know, that's a little dramatic for a cigarette box, but honestly, that's exactly how it felt. For the first week or two, I didn't even want to look at the pictures. Sometimes I'd grab the pack as quickly as possible. Sometimes I'd turn it around. Anything so I wouldn't have to see them. But here's the strange part. Those pictures never made me smoke less. They never made me want to quit either. Because even before those warning labels existed, I already knew smoking was bad. School told me, doctors told me, TV told me, friends told me. The cigarette pack wasn't teaching me anything new. It was just one more reminder. Then something happened. Not overnight, but slowly. One day I realized I couldn't even remember which warning picture was on my cigarette pack. The pictures were still there, I just stopped noticing them. At first I thought, maybe I've stopped caring. Wait, no, that can't be right. If you asked me today, does smoking increase the risk of cancer? I'd answer, of course. I still believe the warning. I still know smoking is harmful. So what exactly disappeared? It wasn't my knowledge, it wasn't my opinion, it was my attention. And that's when I started wondering, is this only happening with cigarette packs, or does my brain do this with everything? Think about it. The first night you move into a new house, you notice everything. The smell, the neighbors, the sounds outside. A few months later, it just feels normal. Or imagine sleeping next to a busy road. The first night, you wonder, how does anyone sleep with this noise? A month later, you barely hear it. The traffic didn't become quieter. The warning labels didn't disappear. So maybe the thing that changed was me. Or maybe not me, maybe my attention. The more I thought about it, the stranger it became. Because it isn't just cigarette packs. It isn't just traffic noise. I think my brain does this all the time. Try this. Picture your bedroom, right now, without looking. There are probably hundreds of things inside it, but how many can you actually picture? For me, a desk, a bed, a chair, that's about it. Now imagine someone secretly moves your chair. Just a little. Not enough to make the room look different. Just enough that something feels off. Isn't that strange? I can't remember every detail in my room, but somehow I'd notice if something changed. Wait, maybe that's the point. Maybe my brain isn't trying to remember everything. Maybe it's watching for what's different. That reminded me of something. Back when I was in university, the drinking water at my boarding house was terrible. So every few days, I'd walk all the way to my aunt's house, fill bottles with clean water, and carry them back. I did that for about a month. It was exhausting. But here's the weird part. I completely forgot that it ever happened. Years later, a friend casually mentioned it, and I just stared at him. What are you talking about? Then, almost instantly, everything came back. The rain, the heavy bottles, the long walk. Like someone had opened an old drawer in my mind. That really surprised me, because I'd spent years telling people, I'm terrible at remembering things. Wait, am I? Or am I just terrible at remembering things that never come up anymore? Think about it. There are moments from years ago that I still remember perfectly. Embarrassing moments, people I cared about, big decisions, places that meant something to me. Those memories never seem to disappear. So maybe my brain isn't constantly asking, can I remember this? Maybe it's asking, will I still need this? I actually like that idea, because maybe forgetting isn't always my brain failing. Maybe it's my brain organizing, keeping some memories close, putting others on a shelf until something reminds me they're there again. And while we're on the subject, I should probably explain why I was so convinced I had a terrible memory. It wasn't just because I forgot little things. It was worse than that. Back when I was in college, I lived in the same town for 5 years. There was this road that connected our dorm to the train station. Let's call the dorm point A and the station point B. Since it was a small town, I got around on a motorcycle. Now here's the weird part. If you asked me to picture point B, I could see the station perfectly in my head. But if you asked me to picture the route from point A to point B, it was just blank. The destination was there, but the road in between, it was like it had been erased. Because of that, whenever I went somewhere, I'd stick to the exact route I always used. The moment I tried taking a different street, I'd almost always end up somewhere I didn't mean to be. A trip that should have taken 15 minutes would suddenly turn into 30. So, am I the only one? Can you picture where you're trying to go, but somehow the route itself just disappears? If you've ever experienced that too, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know I'm not the only one. Think about it. There are moments from years ago that I still remember perfectly. Embarrassing moments, people I cared about, big decisions, places that meant something to me. Those memories never seem to disappear. So maybe my brain isn't constantly asking, can I remember this? Maybe it's asking, will I still need this? I actually like that idea, because maybe forgetting isn't always my brain failing. Maybe it's my brain organizing, keeping some memories close, putting others on a shelf, until something reminds me they're there again. And honestly, that makes a lot more sense than believing I simply have a terrible memory. There's still one thing I've been thinking about. What if my brain never got used to anything? Every goodbye would hurt like the first one. Every mistake would feel brand new. Every loud sound would stay loud forever. Honestly, I don't think I could live like that. I'd probably be exhausted. So maybe getting used to things isn't a flaw. Maybe it's one of the reasons we survive. But there's a trade-off. If my brain naturally filters familiar things, how many important things have quietly faded into the background? Maybe the gray hair on my parents, friends I haven't spoken to in years, the comfort of home, the people who are always there. Maybe the goal isn't to remember everything. Maybe it's simply to stop every once in a while and notice again. Because sometimes, nothing around us has changed. We've just stopped seeing it. Maybe that's why we travel, take photos, celebrate birthdays, visit old friends. Not because life suddenly becomes meaningful again, but because those moments remind us to look again. Maybe our brains aren't trying to hide life from us. Maybe they're just trying to make life manageable. Every now and then, it's our job to look again.